Good afternoon. This is Ron Doster with Travel Solutions. This afternoon I'm here with Outside Agents, and we're going to be looking at some specific trip types and extensions used for the Disney vacation planners. So specifically, if you book a lot of Disney and you want to learn some tricks on how to really help you, then this is the webinar for you, okay? And so I know a lot of you have attended some of the previous webinars. We did one the other day on workspace extensions. We're going to be talking a lot about workspace extensions, and we're going to be extending those in here. If you missed it the other day, you'll want to watch for that recording in y'all's portal. And but you know, we're going to kind of go over it all here today. So one of the things about the vacation planners for Disney is that you have to keep track of a lot more information than what a normal travel agent or a normal booking would, okay? There's some real specific things that you need to be able to do. You know, way far out, you know, you 180, 187, 181 days out, you have to look at dining. Okay, that's one of the things you have to look at. We need to look at fast passes. Excuse me. And we have a lot of different things that we need to track that we wouldn't in a normal booking. So those are things that we're going to be taking a look at. All right, now we know that if we just go to a trip and I start a trip, okay, I'm going to start a new trip and I'm going to make it a vacation. And I'm going to give it some dates. I'll make it November. And this is going to be the Adams Disney trip. And then I'm going to choose a Disney resort. I'm going to pick Disney's Animal Beach Club, okay? And I want to save that. Now, we know we could just go to task and we could start adding tasks, okay? And we could add a task for each one of these things that I want to set up, okay? And so, but every time I did a trip, I would have to do that, okay? So what I'm going to do instead of doing that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to start and I'm going to make a workspace extension for that. I'm going to settings, open settings, go to workspace extension, and I see some that we went over in the previous webinar, so we're going to take a look at those. I have one here called Disney Resorts. Okay, so I'm going to open this, and I made it for Disney Resorts, all right, and I don't have any automation or I don't have any task. So we're going to go through and add some tasks now. So I'm going to add a task, and I want this to be a general task, and the reminder, just like over in task, means how many days you would like to get an email into your email system prior to. Now we do have something new this time. We have that it will send it on the actual date due, so that would be 0 days out, or I can make it 1 day out. And here I'm going to say that dining opens, okay? And I'm going to make this 187 days out, and I'm going to say before the start date. I'm just going to set that task up. So I have one now for dining opens. I'm going to add another task here, and I'm going to make it general, and I'm going to have this 1 day. And here I'm going to say fast pass. Fast pass opens, and I'm going to put 181, and I'm going to say before the trip. Okay, so here's a couple tasks that I have set up way out. All right, and the next thing I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to add a payment, and I'm going to make that 1 day, and I'm going to say final payment due, and I'm going to make that 37 days out, and that's before the trip. Okay, and so I've got that all set up, and so I have these tasks all set up for me now. Okay, now in addition to that, I'm going to set up some emails. Now once again, before I start this part, I do want to review one thing with you if you missed some of the others. Okay, now what I showed you so far will work on the standard package we have. These emails I'm fixing to pull in will have to be on the advanced package. Now the way you tell what package you're on is you go up here to my profile and my account and look at your settings. Okay, here, and it says I'm on the advanced package. It's free to you guys, so the fact that you're on the standard or the advanced package is immaterial to you. It's the same price. They're providing that for you. Okay, so let's go back now to my extension, and let's look at my extension a little bit more. Okay, and so now I'm going to add some email automation, and I'm going to call this a traveling email, and I'm going to set the status. I want it if it's active, booked. Okay, and I want this travel email to be 2 days before the trip start day, and I want it to go to all clients, and I'm going to go to next, and then I'm going to find the email that I want. Okay, and so I'm going to pick this traveling email. All right, now I'm going to add another one, and here I'm going to pick an invoice, and I'm going to pick active or booked, and I want this to be 45 days out, and for the trip I only want to send this to the primary clients, and go to next, and I want this to be the invoice detail. Okay, so I have these, and then I can add another. I'm going to go to traveling, and I want this to be active or booked, and I want this to be 187 days out, and before the trip, only the primary client. I'm going to say next, and I'm going to pick dinner reservations. Okay, all right, and so I have all of these that I can take a look at. Okay, so let's look at what this does first. Now, in addition to that, you see I have here a workspace tab called Disney brought in. All right, so I've saved this. So I want to look at this Disney tab a little bit more. So what we've done so far is we've had an extension. It's going to pull a special tab in. Okay, it's going to add some tasks, and it's going to add some automation emails. So let's go look at this tab. And so this is a tab. This is just an example of what I had made. Now, in order to use a tab inside of this extension, if I go to my workspace tabs here, the tab had to exist. And so here is the tab, and it exists, and here is the fields that we had put in the task. Now, in order to get a tab made, to get this Disney tab made, I cannot make that myself. I had to send an email in and get that made. Okay, and so you can send it straight to support at Travel Solutions, or you can send it to the CRM, or you could put one of the help desk tickets in. Any of those ways is going to get you a tab built. Once your tab shows up here in your list of tabs, then you can go and use that in a extension. Okay, and so I've used this, and so if I look at my extension again, I have the tab and I have these things. So let's go to my trip, that I started. So I have my Adams Disney trip. And now up here in the workspace extensions, I'm going to add, and I'm going to say, I'm going to add this extension, Disney Resorts, and I'm going to hit save. Now it shows me here that it has 1 tab, 3 emails, and 3 tasks. So let's take a look at those. Well, I do see now on this trip I have a Disney tab with some special fields for me to fill out. I also see that I have 3 tasks that it added. It added the dining opens, the fast pass opens, and final payment due. All of this right here, okay? So if I go back, then the automation part I will see when I bring a traveler in. So let's add a traveler. I'm going to add Karen Adams as the primary traveler, and you see it set all of this automation up for me. Okay? And so when I add another traveler, let's add a secondary, and let's add Sam, and you see they only got the 1 email, okay? Didn't get the dinner reservations because I set that up for the primary traveler. He did not get the invoice because that's on the primary traveler, and the only thing he got was the traveling email, okay? So what I've done here is I set an extension up, okay? And that extension, when I brought it into a trip, it extended the trip to include this tab and these 3 tasks and this automation. So you can build your extension to meet your needs, okay? Some of you keep a lot of details, okay, and some only keep a few. And so it's up to you how you would like that set up. Extensions are really good in that it allows you to customize this trip and be able to extend that. That's why we call it an extension, okay? And so the next thing I want to take a look at is when you see things here, okay, like this invoice detail, this traveling email, things like that. So what I can do is I can make this wording a little better, and so that it means more to me when I'm looking at my flow. So I'm going to go out to my templates. So I'm going to click on templates, and that's going to open here. So I'm going to open the templates, and here's a list of all of the templates I have. Okay, so I do see that I have this one template called Before You Go. Before You Go is a better one than the traveling. So I'm going to go back to my extensions, and I forgot about that one. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take the one, the traveling email, and I'm going to update that, and I'm going to go to next, and here I'm going to look, let's see, Before You Go, and I'm going to pull that one in, okay? Now, when I look at the names here, this is going to mean a little bit more to me, okay, when I see that in my list. So if I go back to my trip and go to my Adams trip, okay, and what I would need to do, because they haven't traveled, to show you the name change, I'm just going to, actually I'm going to delete the extension because I changed it, and I'm going to pull that extension in again. Okay, and so you see I have dinner reservations Before You Go, and so what you can do in your template names, you can name your templates what you would like for them to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go out And I'm going to make a template for a fast pass so that you guys can see exactly what's going on, okay? So let's go to templates, and we set up a task for FastPass. So let's go and let's add something for that, okay? So I don't have a FastPass template. So I'm going to add a FastPass template. I'm going to manage my templates, okay? And I need to add a new template. So I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Disney FastPass, and I'm going to give that as a subject. This is going to be a traveling type, okay, and I'm going to include everyone. Now let's review what everyone means, okay? Then what everyone means is that would be you inside of your agency. If you have any agents inside of your agency, then they would see it also. It's just going to be you and the people inside your group, not all of outside agents, okay? It's just the people from you and below you. Let's pick the header. I'm going to pick the happy header, and I'm going to pick the happy footer, and then I'm going to make this active. So I'm going to click apply, and so now I have my Disney FastPass email, okay? So when we start off, remember that we have the header and we have the footer. We're going to talk a little bit about this social icon in just a moment. And so from here, I can start building my email. Now, I click on grid. I want a full space. I want it to go all the way across. So this is kind of that container, if you will. And we've built out the container, and it goes all the way across. That's what the full one is. Then I'm going to click on widgets, and I'm going to include an image, okay? And so I have the image. Now, if I click to add an image, and I go out to my images, or let me cancel that. I wanted to go to Tessa's images. I see all of these images. Now, I don't really have one on FastPass, so I'm going to use this booking one for right now, just because I want to put an image in there. I don't really have a FastPass image. I would need to create one of those, but I'm going to have an image there. And then I'm going to go back to my grid and pull in another full container so it goes all the way across. And here I'm going to go to my widget and bring in a title, okay? The title, I'm just going to say dear, and here I want to put the client's name. So I'm going to the client and put first name, comma. Okay. Now after that, I want to enter some typing, and so I'm going to come here and bring some text in, and this space right here, FastPass. So here's where you're going to tell them about the FastPass. You're going to type whatever you want. And then after that, you're just going to include your agent, first name, space, agent, last name, and then enter. And then I'm going to put my agent email address, and then my agent phone number, okay? And you can build these the way you would like, okay? So that's all I've done here is for demonstration purposes, I've just made a fast template, okay? All right. And so in the now that I have this template, I go back to my templates. I see the name of it, Disney FastPass, and it's all set up. So I'm going back over here to my workspace extension, and I'm going to modify this extension, okay? And here I could add another piece of automation, and I'm going to say, let's add a traveling, and I want to do this if it's active. And I think we said this was about 181 days maybe. You guys would know better than me. And then I'm going to send this only to the primary client, and I want to choose my Disney FastPass. Okay, and so I went out and made a template. I added that template in, and see, these workflows can help you. So let's go back to our trip, and I'm going to pull that trip up, and so that I can see this here. I'm going to delete it again, and I'm going to add it. Okay, so now that I've added it, you see for the primary, I see FastPass also. Okay, and so what we've done now is we've went out and made a template, brought that template in into my automation flow so that it would happen every time. Now each time I do a Disney trip, all I have to do is pull this extension in, and it's going to bring this tab, it's going to add these tasks, and it's going to add this automation. And so just to make it clear, if I come and I do another trip, and I'm going to make this a vacation and put some dates, and I'm going to say Jones trip, and I'm going to pick a resort, and that resort, I could pick a Disney resort. It doesn't matter what I pick, okay? It does not have the tab, it does not have the task, and if I add a traveler, it's not going to have those things, okay? And so if I want to make this my Disney extension and add that special tab and those tasks and the email automation, then all I would do here is come here and add the Disney extension. Okay, I add the Disney extension. Now it has the tab, it has the task, and when I add a traveler, it's going to pull in that information. So as soon as I add the traveler, then I get all this information. Okay, when I've done this, it's all set up. Now let's go in here and let's add a booking. And so if I give it a booking number, and I'm going to give it a date, and probably don't have Disney set up, and we give it a price and a commission. Okay, now when I take a look, if I go out to my invoice, then it's going to show that there is an invoice scheduled for August the 17th, okay? And that is because of that extension that we brought in. But if I go ahead and send Alice an invoice now, so it sent that invoice, okay? And it would deliver that invoice now, okay? But if I go back and look at my trip, and I look, I see that an invoice was sent, okay, and there's still an invoice scheduled for August the 17th. So it's going to keep these in chronological order for you, and so you'll know as events are going to take place, okay? And so that helps you keep everything all organized. If you send another invoice, it's just going to indicate it right below that, and it's still going to send this invoice here, okay? All right. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you that's new also, if I go to Alice and I want to look at Alice, all right, and I will see a new tab called Communication. And so I'm going to look at that Communication tab, and it's going to show these communications that have taken place, okay? So this invoice has already happened, okay? And I see I have an issue with that, Stephen. We need to see what's going on with that one. That's not working in this environment. Okay. And then these are set up to go in the future, all right? And I don't know why that's not working. I didn't realize that. So we'll take a look at this and we'll get this fixed immediately, okay? All right, so when we're looking at the client, I see that there's something in here called flight preferences, okay? And so I'm going to click on that, and I just see a couple things here, okay? So Ron, how did that happen? Well, just real quick, let's go out to my extensions, and let's see that I have a client airline preference. So let's look at it. And so this is a extension, okay? And it has a workspace tab of flight preferences. So I must have went to support and got them to build that tab for me. And then I told it to automatically add it to the client. We went over that the other day, and so I don't want to dwell on that a lot, but I did want to show you how that got there, okay? All right, so I want to go back to my client, and I do want to show you one more thing. So I need to go back to my trip first. So I need to remember, so this Jones trip. So it's on October the 1st through the 8th, okay? So we need to remember that. So I'm going to go to Alice, and I'm going to say that Alice's birthday was 10-3, and I'm going to say that her anniversary happened to be 10/06/2. Okay, and I'm going to save that. So anniversary is new here. It used to be over as a special date. We've brought it over here, and so that you can track the birth date and the anniversary. So let's see what effect that has on my trip. Okay, so I think I saved that. Yes. So let's go back to my trip, and let's pull this trip up now. Now I did want to show you this. Now you see a little birthday, okay, and then we see a little bubbly there, a little champagne glass. What this tells me that during the trip she has a birthday and she has a anniversary, okay? So that's just going to bring that up for you. So I did want to show you that, okay? So as far as the Disney vacation planners are concerned, what I've done here today is I went out and I showed you how to make an extension for Disney, okay? We brought in a tab, we brought in some tasks, and we brought in some automation. We went out and we made a new template that we could pull in for the FastPass, and so I showed you how you could change the names of the templates so that they show up in the trip and makes a little bit more sense to you, okay? And so then we went and we utilized that in a trip, okay? We did a couple trips here. We did this one, and then we did one before that. Also showed you how some of the details about the traveler. Not only do you have the birth date and how old they will be when they travel, but if there is a special date being celebrated during the trip, it's going to be there, okay? All right, so I want to leave some time for questions. I know you guys have some questions, and Stephen's been trying to answer them for you, so I'm going to go back and see if any of these that we need to bring up. All right, Stephen, let's see what we've got here. Describe how tabs, extension, and trips are related to each other, okay? And so what happens is you have a regular trip like you guys have been doing all along. Now, let's just say that when we started a trip that, Ron, you have all this information here, but this doesn't meet all of my needs, okay? And it doesn't fall into one of these categories, you know, tasks, notes, documents, you know, details. I need some more fields because I need to answer something specifically, okay, that I have for this trip. So what extensions do is they allow you to add a new tab, one of the things that we demonstrated. So that was one of the questions, okay? And so you can add an extension and pull in a tab so that you can collect some data that you might need that's not in the normal trip. We can't build a trip that's going to fit everybody's needs. So this allows you to extend a regular trip to include some more fields that you would like. The next thing you ask about the other pieces to it. So every time you add a trip, you have to go in and manually add all of your tasks. If I was just going to do, forget the Disney part and the tabs, let's just say I was going to do a honeymoon. Every time I do a honeymoon, I'm going to automatically add a task for the final payment 45 days out. So I could add an extension for that, pull that honeymoon in, and it's going to automatically add those for me. Same thing if you're going to send a welcome back email, a traveling email, and an invoice. Okay, if you're going to send those every time, then you can put those in the extension. It's going to happen automatically and save you a lot of time. Okay, let's see if we have any more, Stephen. All right. Now I know that the things that I talked about today, if you are a Disney planner or if you're not, maybe it's not the way you do things, okay? What I do want to emphasize is that these are just examples, okay? And so each one of you can set this up the way you would like it done, okay? And so that's the purpose of the extensions, okay? All right. Is there a template or format for setting a workspace? You know what you need to do there is you need to say what you would like the tab called, okay? And then you need to indicate which fields that you would like. Now the options that you have, and this is a very good question, is you can include what we call a drop down, okay? This is a drop down, and what do you want the drop down called? And then what do you want the values to be, okay? And so you have your choices. So I would ask for a drop down called package type, and then I would like these as the responses. I want a ticket type, okay, drop down, and I want these, okay? I wanted a dining option, and I want these, okay? Memory maker, this is just a checkbox. This is the same as a yes or no, okay? And then we have just a text box that you can just enter data, and then we have a date. So you would need to say what would you like it called, and then what fields do you want in it, okay? And once you've done that, then they will create it for you and then let you know, and you'll see it show up. If it's not correct, exactly the way you want it, reach out and they will adjust it for you, okay? I understand that that's a little bit of work to do, okay, except that once you get this done, then it's going to be there forever for you. Once you have, fast past date doesn't do anything, okay? It's just some information for you, all right? The system can't do anything with that. It's just you have this information, and when you pull it up, you'll be able to see that, all right? Now, one of the things that that I'd like to do, and I do want to show you this, okay? When I go to the trip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this, all right? And then you got a confirmation email back from Disney when you booked it, or you're on the Disney site and you see the booking. You can go in here to details, okay? And you can open this and you can cut and paste out of that email or off the website. You can paste all of that information right here. And then you can save it, and when you come back, you'll see everything that is from the confirmation that you got back, okay? So that's one of the things that I like to do. Okay, so I see a couple more questions here. So we would need to have an empty extension for each tab. Thank you. Yes, so each time that you want to, let's say you have a tab and you would go out and build that extension, okay, and that extension, you would include that tab. Now you could use a tab in a couple different extensions, but most of the time extensions are going to include other things like your tasks that you want added or the automation emails that you would like. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any others here, Stephen, that we need to cover? We've got a few more minutes.
I think we've gotten through most of them. Is the details for the agent or client is when?
Okay, so the details, when I clicked on the details here, no one's going to see this except for the agent. Okay. The client, no, you can.
Yeah, you can't add those to a template though.
No. It would just be in here inside here. Okay. All right. You can use extensions to do excursions for a group. I'm not really sure how you would do that. The only thing an extension is for is if you want to add a task to remind you to do something, or you want to send out automation emails, okay? And so you have to keep that in mind. It's not the answer to everything. It's what you would like for it to be. I do see that people are reminding me that the details are put on an invoice automatically. That's only if you choose the invoice that has those added, okay? And so most people on the invoice don't have those added. If you have those added, then yes, that would show up there, okay? So that's all in how your template is set up, okay? And so you would need to know if you are using the invoice template that has detail added. If you have that, then you would not want to put those type of things in there, okay? There's a lot of flexibility here, and so there's many different things that can be done, and you have to just make sure you have it set up the way you would like, okay? So as if we create a tab, can we share it with the other agents? Yes, Rachel, you kind of can, okay? And what we have is we have a lot of Disney agents that get together and they have Facebook pages, or inside of your portal, y'all could have discussions, and you can talk about how you're setting these up together, and then you can say that, you know, you can work together on a tab and then let us know that you guys want to share those, okay? So those are all very good ideas, okay? And so again, I want you guys, is there a way to see fields and options that were just shown? You'll be able to see, you know, this has been recorded, and so if you want to have a tab built, just work with support, and they're going to, Stephen is actually the person that does that, and he's going to help you get all that worked out. And I know this is kind of confusion to you right now, but as you start walking through this process, and that's something that you really want to do, that's going to make your business better, he's going to work with you and get those things built out, okay? And so, and I understand that, you know, that some of you get hung up on that the details go on an invoice, but the details don't have to go on the invoice. That's your option. I just want you to understand that you need to know how your business is set up. There's not one way to do things inside your CRM here, and you need to utilize these fields the way you would like. If you want to use the details for something else, then you don't put it on your invoice templates, okay? And then you can utilize it. If you're going to put it on your invoice template, then you need to make sure what you put in the detail you want to share on the invoice, okay? there's lots of options there, and you just need to make sure that you're getting the one that works for you. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to keep you too long today. I do appreciate all of you coming out and listening. Okay. And so this has been recorded, and it will be up on the portal. And again, I want to thank you all for coming. Thanks.